Hey guys, Sean here. I know I just did a review for Avengers Age of Ultron, but I figure just do a second review because it's been so long since I've done one. And I'm going to do this review on Furious 7, or Fast 7, whatever you want to call it. Fast and Furious 7, Furious 7 spelled out, 7 spelled out, Fast and Furious 7, whatever you want to call it. It's marketed as Furious 7, so, fuck it, I'll call it that. This movie is essentially the first movie to take place after Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. And that's actually one of my main problems with it. But I'll get into that later. This movie, like I said, takes place after the events of Tokyo Drift, where after Han was, killed in that movie, it was revealed in the ending of Furious 6, or Fast and Furious 6 as it's marketed, that it was not an accident. It was actually a planned death, or whatever you want to call it, where it was revealed that Jason Statham was the one that killed Han. And I thought that was cool they did that, because the whole accidental death thing kind of was like, why? But okay. So yeah, in this movie takes place after the events of Tokyo Drift, where Dom and the gang have discovered, that Han died. So they essentially go after Jason Statham as revenge. And Statham also is after Dom and his crew because they crippled his brother, Owen Shaw, the villain in the sixth movie, played brilliantly by Luke Evans, who I thought is the best villain of the series because he is the exact opposite of Dom. Just thought I'd put that out there. And so the movie's basically that, and also the crew also are sent by this government official played by this mysterious government official played by Kurt Russell to track down this hacker who has developed a surveillance program called God's Eye, which is able to track anybody anywhere through any means possibility, like driver's licenses, receipts, anything that can be picked up by a camera. God's Eye can track it, basically, which kind of cool and weird at the same time. But anyway, so the deal is that they can track the hacker, and if they can find the hacker and get the program, they will be allowed to use it to track down Jason Statham. So obviously they succeed. They track down Statham and bring him to justice, yada yada. So what did I think of this movie? I thought it was really good. It's just good. It's not as good as Fast 6, not as good as Fast 5, but still pretty entertaining nonetheless. Now, like I said at the beginning, I do have some problems with this movie. For a movie that takes place after Tokyo Drift, the Tokyo Drift cast are essentially fucking useless. You could have cut that scene out of the movie and probably not have missed a damn thing, because Lucas Black only appears in the film for 2 minutes, and that's including archival footage from Tokyo Drift, along with Bow Wow and Nathalie Kelly. They only appear for maybe 2 minutes of this movie, and I was thinking, you do know this movie takes place after Tokyo Drift, so wouldn't it be more effective to use the Tokyo Drift actors like more fucking effectively? But maybe they're setting them up in the next movie. Who knows? And then also, The Rock was completely underused in this movie. Now, I thought when Rock entered the series in Fast 5, I was like, awesome. Because I actually like The Rock as an actor and as a wrestler from WWE. So I thought he was a great addition to the series. But yeah, he was underused in this movie, and I think that's particularly because he was still filming Hercules at the time. So I can forgive that one. But yeah, this movie is still a good movie. Like I said, and Jason Statham is a good villain, just not particularly as good as Luke Evans. Letty does finally get her memory back, and they do reveal something that was never really mentioned until now that Dom and Letty got married, which I thought was cool. I wonder if they'll roll with that in the next movie. Who knows? But yeah, the reason why this movie came out so later than it's supposed to, because it was originally supposed to be, I think, released, July 11, 2014. But the reason why it came out a year later is because of the tragic passing of Paul Walker. And they do honor him in the movie at the very end by a heartfelt tribute to him, where they play footage of previous movies that included Paul, and they have basically Vin do a narration over the footage. And I think it's beautiful, and they also include a song by Wiz Khalifa, I think his name is, and Charlie Puth, I don't know how I pronounce his name, I think I did it wrong, but whatever, called See You Again, and it's a perfect song for the tribute. I teared up when I saw this tribute. It was so good. So the sad thing is that Paul Walker will never be in these films again, and that's kind of a tragedy of this franchise, is that he was so important to the series, and to know he will never be in these movies again, it's kind of sad. But the way they kept Paul in this movie is that they used what footage they had of him that he actually shot, and then they brought in his brothers, Cody and Caleb, to do his remaining scenes, and they somehow used footage from, like, stock footage from previous films, whether it was used in the movie or deleted scene footage, and they finished it that way, and I thought it was kind of cool. They were able to use old footage, but it's like, you do know that depending on the footage you're using, that he looked younger, so trying to get that to match with the now, well, they got it to work somehow. And to be honest, the whole CGI face on the brothers, it's freaking seamless. And you gotta think, this was done by Weta Digital, the guys who did the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies. And Weta's good in their CGI, so it was freaking seamless. I couldn't even tell which scenes were Paul and which were his brothers. Not to mention they intercut the previous movie's footage with some of the scenes, and it looked freaking seamless, like literally. The only time I knew it was his brothers was towards the end of the movie, where they're getting ready to do the tribute. You can obviously tell that's his brothers doing that part, because I think Caleb did the beach scene, and then Cody did the one last ride at the end of the one last drive thing at the end. And that tribute was so beautiful. Like I said, I teared up. Like the tears came like rain, literally. It's because, I enjoyed this franchise, and to know that one of its leads is gone, that is a great tragedy indeed. Because, you know what I mean. But yeah, like I said, this movie's really good. I had a couple problems with it, and to be honest, Statham's plan in this movie doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because he says in the beginning of the movie that he's after the team that crippled his brother, yet he only goes after one member of the team and kills them. But yet the rest of the movie, he's focusing all his energy on Dom. It's like, you do know there are like Brian, Tej, Rome, Letty. You know there's like 4 other members of the team, right? And you're just going after this one man? His plan is a little confusing. A little bit. But other than that, the movie was awesome. Great tribute to end the movie on. It's not as good as the last movie. Like I said, still think 6 is the best. Statham is a good villain, just not as good as Luke Evans. And I do like they gave Letty's memory back. They gave Letty her memory back. And then they brought Hector back from the first movie, because there's a little section that takes place at Race Wars, which I thought was cool to see. I thought James Wan did really good for his first action movie. I thought he handled the movie really well, considering what they had to deal with, the tragedy they had to deal with. You know what I mean? I thought this movie worked. Like like I said, aside from the problems I had, the Tokyo Drift cast underused, The Rock was underused, Statham's whole plan made little to no sense. It was still a good movie, and I recommend anybody who's a fan of the Fast and Furious films, go and see it, or wait till it comes on DVD, which I think is, because I usually don't think it's in theaters anymore, but wait till it's on DVD, or if you can even find it in theaters, go see it. And if you can't, wait for the DVD and Blu-ray and watch it. It is really good. So